All right, everybody, welcome to our 8th CDSS web chat to prove that yes, we can keep in touch, albeit with a few bumps along the way. But we're very grateful to be able to use this vehicle of the web chat to reach far and wide, to include music, dance, and song organizers for this web chat, literally from Alaska to Australia. So it sounds like we have about 120 people signing in right now. So there's clearly a need for us to be finding ways to be in touch. And the focus of this web chat is to share ideas for helping our community members keep in touch with each other. I'm Linda Henry. I'm the real Linda Henry from CDSS, the Community Resources Manager. And we're having a lot of support from our operations manager, Sarah Pilzer. Sarah, do you have any other technology tips for now?
Sure. Nikki, can you show our next slide? So we are going to request that during the call, if you are not speaking, please keep your microphone muted and we'll turn your video off for now. There will be a point at the end of the web chat where we'll have time to see each other's faces. So in order to do that, you can go to the bottom of your screen and you'll see a little microphone icon. Click on that to mute yourself, and a little video camera. You can click on that to stop your video. This is just to save on bandwidth and cut down on background noise. All right, next slide. Once we get to the end of the presentation portion of our web chat, we'll open up time for video, at which point we'll suggest using gallery view. You can get to that with the little button up in the right-hand corner. Next slide. And if you click that, it'll then put everybody into gallery view. Next slide. And if you click it again, it'll go back to focusing on whoever's speaking. Next slide. All right, one more slide. Next. Next. Any questions that you have during the first part of the presentation, please put them in the chat. In order to open up chat, next slide, click on the chat bubble at the bottom of your screen, next slide, and it'll open up the chat bar on the right-hand side of your screen, depending on how you have it configured. Next slide. You can enter messages in the bottom where it says type your message here, and that will send to, next slide, anyone who you can select to send to everybody in the room or just the hosts private messages to just us who are hosting. So those are my tech comments for now. We will be monitoring chat and trying to pick out questions for later. And in the meantime, back to you, Linda Henry.
Also wanted to introduce a couple of other staff members who are helping from behind the scenes. Nikki Perez, can you wave, Nikki? Can see you, is our membership coordinator, and Crispin, I guess you're not, there you are, our office manager. One more CDSS connection, we have Emily Addison joining us. She'll be speaking later in the web chat. And Emily, our community resources consultant from Ottawa, Ontario. And now we'll hear from Katie German, our CDSS Executive Director from Asheville, North Carolina.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited that, that there are so many people on the call. We originally were going to do a song-focused web chat, but when the earth shifted and reality became a totally different beast, we decided to move that one to later. So we're thrilled that you all are here. And we really are looking forward to hearing not just the questions you have, but the ideas you have for ways that CDSS can better support affiliates during this time. What are some ideas, things we could do, create, boost, or put out into the world that would help us all stay connected and stay inspired while we wait until we can get back together again. So we're really glad you're here. I also want to say that like all nonprofits, we are putting together our financial picture for the year, and thanks to the support of donors we are going to be okay. We can retain all of our staff. We have some reserves to tap into, and we're making some adjustments that we're able to do. But I want to just note that our web chat series is free and open to the public, as are many of the resources that we develop. So big thank you to all of you on the call right now who are already members and donors. We really appreciate it. And we hope that if you're in a position to give us some support this year, that you will consider to do that. But most importantly, stay with us, work with us, tell us your ideas, and let us know how we can help. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, next slide.
We're
So
not,
here's a glimpse of what's
we're not
going to be
seeing any-
happening over the next hour.
This
This is,
Linda, can I interrupt for a second? There seems to be some folks are not able to see the slides. If that is true for you, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, there should be an icon that says Swap Shared Screen with Video. If you click on that, it should switch from having the slides very small to showing the screen that we're sharing. Thank you.
so this is a glimpse of what's in store for this hour. And by the way, this is, you're all joining us for an experiment this evening. We're going about this in a different way. In previous web chats, we've chosen speakers in advance, had lots of time to prepare, heard from a few people about their ideas. And this time we decided to have our guests be chosen from our registrant list. So I picked 10 people who will represent the variety of traditions of communities. So we'll be hearing from 10 of these guests very briefly, just to get a glimpse of what they have to share from their communities. Then we'll have some resources from CDSS for a few minutes right before 7:45. And then we are going to open it up to conversations with all the web chat participants, which we have never done. So you're joining us for a big adventure this evening, and we're really glad that you're all here. Next slide. So we'll go through this list of people from across the country. Each one will have about 3 minutes, so we hope everybody will be keeping track of your time as you're speaking, and we'll move from one to the next. So we'll start with Lynn Knoll from Waltham, Massachusetts. Lynn, we can't hear you.
Yes.
There we go.
One of the things I've learned about participatory song is that in the UK, the compere unmutes you, and in the US, we unmute ourselves. It's an interesting cross-cultural difference. So I'm here to represent actually, I'm honored to represent song here. Thank you very much. I run the Mermaid's Tavern concerts and session series. This is the Mermaid from my Mermaid's Tavern studio. And we have a weekly series of ballad and shanty sings on Sundays, house concerts on Thursdays, and special events, including 2 concerts that I've co-sponsored with the Folk Song Society of Greater Boston. You've asked me to talk about the tech, but one of the things that we value is that transparent tech that doesn't waste valuable singing time. So I have a blog that talks all about my tech if you want to read about that. But some things that I'd like to call out that I think are successful are that we very quickly got off the mark. The first concert we did was Matthew Byrne on the 10th of March. We've now done 12 events since the 10th of March and 6 more upcoming. We got Zoom bombed on April 16th, so now we have a mailing list where we email the Zoom links for security. And we also try to provide in that mailing list links to other online sings and session calendars. I counted about 15 other online sings, and on my website are a list of a couple other calendars. A big piece is what I call DIY digital coaching. I have a background in IT, so I like to pay it forward. And every concert that we've done has been the artist's first live stream. So I do everything with the artist, from getting their tech set up, getting them online, setting up a tip jar, making sure their website's in shape. And I'm really proud to say that all of our house concerts have made good money for the artists, and they have gone on to run their own live streams and start taking money, and not just donations, and starting to think about selling online and really changing their digital business models to adapt to this beyond the COVID pandemic. I've got about 7 or 8 blog posts up, including one that answers the CDS questions in more detail. And I am teaching a masterclass next week on live streaming digital participatory songs. So you can find that on my website as well. It's crosscurrents.linol.com. And I'm sure that's on the list. And the last thing I'll say is that we are getting up at 5 o'clock on May morning, and we are having a virtual May morning sing, which is going to go for 3 hours. And I have people from 5 countries already signed up.
That's great, Lynn. I'll respond to one of the chats that I just saw. How can we find Lynn's blog? We are gathering all of the ideas that have come in from this web chat and putting them into a resource on the CDSS website. So that you'll be able to go and find Lynn, a listing for Lynn that will have her blog information and how to contact her. And also for any of you present on this web chat who would like to have your entry in that resource. Next, we have Carol Ormond from Madison, Wisconsin.
Hello, all you lovely humans. Oh, I should probably turn on my video as well. So I'm representing the Madison Open Band. We play during normal times for a weekly contra dance every Tuesday night, open band, and which means we're used to seeing each other a lot. We also do a monthly tune learning session on a different night of the week. And since the pandemic started, those have moved online using Zoom in much the same way that we're doing it here. So just as when we're face-to-face, there's one person teaching a tune and a whole bunch of people learning it. Whoever's doing the teaching, this last time it was me, is unmuted so that everybody can hear them, but everybody else is muted. So in their own homes, what they hear is the teacher and themselves playing together. And what the teacher hears is the teacher playing by themselves solo. So whoever's teaching the tune does not hear how the other people are, how quickly they're picking it up. There's a little bit of back and forth, just as you would normally do in person. And there's a little bit more checking in to see, hey, did you get that? Should we review that? Should we do it again? As I was teaching a couple weeks ago, I said, you know, if you have any problem, if you have a question, just do this at me into your webcam, and you know, I'll know to stop and ask you a question. So when you have a question, you unmute yourself, you ask your question, you might play a little bit of the tune back at the tune leader to see, do I have it correct? Only one person can play at one time with time lag issues on Zoom, but it works just fine. It's frankly almost as good as being in the same room. And the one advantage actually is that if you're learning the tune, you only hear yourself and the teacher. So you really get a good sense of, am I playing exactly what the teacher is playing or not? You don't have to try to block out the sound of the people who are sitting next to you also learning the tune. So that's what we're doing.
Great, Carol. I'm sure anyone out there who's involved with music sessions could be learning from all of this. Next, we have Marie Deer from Bloomington, Indiana.
Oops. I think actually you skipped.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sarah Green, Oakland, California.
Okay, hi there. Well, on the 17th of March, we went into shelter in place, and on the 20th of March, I put together a mashup of two dances, one called Maiden Lane, a classic English country dance, and the other a modern dance by Pat Shaw called Kitty Alone, and created the dance Maiden Alone, which was probably the first solo adaptation for our time in being sheltered. So since that time, there have been literally dozens of solo dances and duo dances made for people in shelter. There's a whole list of them, courtesy of Margaret Swaite on the CarolinaEnglishCountryDance.com site. It's her Dance Pandemic List links, and I'm sure that will be going up on the resources list later. Also, I've been making videos of the dances that I've been writing and putting them up on YouTube, which has been an adventure. Bob Green has been keeping a list of Corona-inspired dances, and you can find Bob's list in his dancevideos.childgrove.org site. These adaptations are things that any English country dance teacher or experienced dancer can do. You're starting with the basic premise that you're taking dances that people know and love and altering them so that they can be done successfully by a single person or two people. And in many cases, especially with the early Playford dances, they're really dead easy. You take the first couple's track and there you go, you've got it. I use, no, I'll talk about that later. I think that there's also a lot of people starting to do original solo dances, which along with the adaptations are going to be enriching the lives of people who are dancing English country dance alone at home. The other thing you wanted me to discuss was the Zoom dance events, the English dance events that have been happening. The first one that I've been able to trace happened in the UK when the Sheffield UK Playford in the Pub session had to suddenly change, and they created Playford in the Ether on March 26th. On March 27th, the Toronto English Country Dance suddenly went online, and they've been doing a weekly dance. Next, Victoria English Country Dance. After that, Napa English Country Dance. And finally, the Bay Area and North Bay have been doing regular dances. If anybody knows of other dances that have been happening online that different groups have been doing, I would greatly appreciate your letting me know, because I'm trying to put together an informal history of what has been going on. And a lot of stuff has been going on. It's been pretty amazing. People are incredibly forgiving of the glitches that are an inevitable part of using this new technology. And people are dealing with the problems of orientation, right, left, mirroring, and things like that. You'll find if you get involved with doing one of these things that you'll have sound problems, you'll have all sorts of problems. I use a MacBook Pro for my teaching purposes when I'm calling an event, and I'm just running the music from my iPad, which is just next to the MacBook Pro. This is very primitive. Other people do much more interesting things, and so far, none of it has been totally successful. That's what's happening in terms of the solo dance events.
Okay, great, Sharon. I'm hoping that this resource we're starting will be a way that you can find and contact other people who are doing similar things. So we're going to be really promoting that so that more people who are participating in it can use it to connect. Now we have Marie Deer from Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me and see me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, it's good to be part of this. My name is Marie Deer, and I'm the new board coordinator for the Venerable Contra Dance Group in Bloomington, Indiana. We've been having Zoom dances weekly since March 25th. At this point, we have somewhere between 30 to 45 members of our community meeting over Zoom every week on Wednesday, our usual weeknight. We have a few members or former members who have moved away temporarily or permanently who are also taking advantage of the remote connection to join us. And we meet for about an hour every week to dance, listen, or play along in our own living spaces while one household leads the event. Another thing that we do in our short time together every week is we take a minute to go around and have everyone say hi and give a short greeting. That needs to be moderated because not everyone sees the same arrangement on the screen. So I usually call on people one after the other. Our callers have been a mix of our usual callers and or musicians, some of our younger members who have just started calling and some friends from further away. All of them have been experimenting with creative ways to call dances that we can dance to at home, either alone or with one or more household members. The dances have been a mix of waltzes, which are pretty straightforward to dance to alone, or of course with one other person, modified contras with moves that we recognize and love so that we can still feel like it's contra dancing, and then other dances or games that have kept us moving, laughing, and connected. People have, got us together in different ways. And some of our musician members are playing along at home with their mics muted. So that's the way that they're participating. The people who've called the modified contra dances have done several things that were very helpful. One of them is writing the contra dance moves in the chat bar right at the beginning, just before they teach the moves, so that the dancers have a visual textual reminder to glance at. One of them is continuing to call throughout the dance, which is helpful because the usual visual guideposts that you have when you're contra dancing of your neighbors and partners are absent. So it's really helpful to have the caller continue to call the whole time. Another one is making the dances quite a bit shorter than usual because you don't have the variety of having different people to dance with. The main constraint on our dance leadership has, of course, been that the calling and the music need to come from the same household. So some of our musicians who don't usually call have been stepping up to call. Some of our musician callers who don't usually play for us have been playing. And in general, we've been relying on the households that include multiple talents. We've been including a PayPal donation link in our Zoom meetings and paying our Zoom leaders the way we would normally pay our open mic night leader. Some of them are choosing to donate the money back and sometimes to give extra to the others who are in greater need. But anyway, it's as Sharon was just saying, it's a grand experiment, and everybody's very patient and flexible, and mistakes have been made. But that's what we've been doing. Just when we're just grateful for the creativity and energy of so many of our members who are allowing us to keep meeting and being a community, which is, I think, what this is all about. So yeah, thank you.
Great, Marie. It's great to hear the idea of having a caller and musician from the same household as a way to make it work. Next, we have Claire Takamori from Campbell, California. And Claire, I know you have a lot of different things to share. I think for the sake of time, if you could pick one, that would be great.
Hopefully I have this timed so I can do both things really quickly.
Okay, that would be great.
Hi everyone, I've always wanted to have a local callers collective to share ideas, test choreography, and get feedback. But since the Bay Area is about 2 hours away from certain cities, it was always hard to find a time and place for callers to meet. So I did email all the callers in the Bay Area, but only 2 were interested in meeting. And so then I tried asking a bunch of new callers, people that I'd seen at either camp workshops or they've guest called with me, and I knew they were interested in learning to call. So we started with 5 as the core group, and now we've grown to 8 new callers, more from Northern California now, 1 in Oregon. There's also a couple of experienced callers who came to support, answer questions, and offer feedback. We've had 2 excellent musicians give talks about band caller interactions, demonstrating musical variations while they're explaining how they match dances. And the callers make donations to either help our out-of-work musicians and teachers or possibly to a charity that they pick. We decided to meet weekly and alternate between lecture with Q&A, and then we also have a calling practice with feedback. I try to book the best callers I can possibly get, and it's been very informative and exciting. If the callers do not need extra income, then our donations go to their favorite fundraisers. For Gay Fifers Workshop, we did a CDSS membership drive. I'm also running small 2-day callers workshops with Lisa Greenleaf right now and expanding to other callers very soon. I'm using a Zoom Pro account provided by our local BACDS. And for calling practice, the participants can play music from their phone or computer and also call along. I have the option to turn on original sound for all the meetings and do a sound check before meeting when we have musicians playing. The band musician workshops is another thing. It's called master classes, but all levels are allowed. The musicians created their own content. I just offered the Zoom meeting and moderating during their class. I help with publicity, both email and Facebook, and our local BACDS has offered to help subsidize their classes by offering scholarships and also paying a stipend to the musicians if they'd like. I also send a video recording after the end of the workshop to the musicians so they have something to look at for the students. One ongoing workshop is by Audrey Knuth, melody players for band musicians. It's Mondays at 4 p.m. And the other is a one-time harmony rhythm workshop for accompanists by Jeff Sparrow. It's this Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific. Thanks.
Great. A lot of stuff going on in your area. Next, we have Deborah Denenfeld from Louisville, Kentucky.
Hi. I've been running dance parties for kids, and they grew out of Dancing Well the Soldier Project's regular dances for veterans and their families that are affected by PTSD or brain injury. Because we couldn't dance in person, I was looking for another way to reach them and help them. We're holding weekly dances that last 30 to 45 minutes. We're holding them on Facebook Live, partially because I wanted to be able to have people get in without having to let me know in advance. And I didn't want to get Zoom bombed. We welcome children, but really we are welcoming everyone, and I would encourage you to tell people who have kids that are home about us. We'd love to have everybody, lots of people come. The program is mostly simple community dances or international folk dances, and sometimes I modify the tempo. I always modify the length because I think dancing alone gets boring. People don't have that change in partners and people around them that keeps it interesting. So I keep the dances much shorter. And I also lead a song in the middle as a sort of a break. My sound system is complex. And the goal was that I should be able to be heard as the caller and leader very well when I am far from the camera so that my whole body can be viewed, or when I'm right up in front of the camera so that I'm talking to people and they feel like they're really connected with me. So here's what I've got. The camera I'm using is inside my MacBook Air. The music is inside my iPhone. I have a Bose speaker in the room that the music is going to, that I hear in my room as I'm leading the program. I have a headset microphone. Everything is connected to a mixer, and that mixer then goes into my Mac. My Mac does require an adapter, and that is important because I was having a lot of problems with pixelation on the video, and when I tried to hardwire into my router so that I wouldn't be using Wi-Fi, I found that it's very difficult and expensive to get an adapter that'll work for a Mac that can handle the power of the mixer going in. My answer is that I now use StreamYard to stream to Facebook Live, and this has worked really wonderfully for me. It has eliminated the pixelation completely. I still am interested in hard wiring because StreamYard recommends it, but I need to find the right adapter for the Mac. I do ask for donations. I haven't received any. I think I just got my first one actually today. I have been sent 2 really wonderful videos of kids dancing to my leadership and been told by the parents that the kids ask every day, is it Wednesday? That's the day we dance.
Okay,
Someone
Deborah. I
had
think,
asked about copyright issues on the music. And my experience with that is when I did a test and I used a tune that was well known in the world, Facebook would not permit it. So I now use music that either local musicians have given me, that they've given me permission to use, or I sought permission of the other musicians that I use, which are national level musicians, to try and get around that. My experience is that international folk dance is not so much an issue. It's what the bots recognize as copyrighted music.
okay. Sounds great, Deborah. Next, we have Suzanne Frank from Mountain View, California, and I'd like everybody to listen in about her ideas for May Day.
Oh, okay, so our last practice was March 7th, and that was around the time we went shelter in place in our county because it was early. So I guess everybody was talking about using Zoom, so we decided to start having weekly practices. We just use the free Zoom, which is 40 minutes, and then we sometimes add a second 40 minutes. Our practices, to keep the tradition, we have them at 1 o'clock on Saturdays, which is our usual practice time, and that accommodates our team members in California and our team member in New Zealand who's unable to join us due to the shelter in place. And we usually start out with a couple songs, and we share the screen for words, and we found that doing call and response songs is good. And most of the time, even though there's some latency with the response or the chorus, we just let go along with that. We first dance an easy dance to warm up, then we teach a dance, and then we'll do another dance. At the end, we have a virtual pub team meeting, and everyone mutes and unmutes themselves as needed, and our lead musician directs the musicians to be playing one at a time. So everybody can play, we just unmute one person at a time. Doing the Morris dances, it's like dancing with Ghost, and like Sharon Green has found, some dances lend themselves to working with Ghost and dancing by yourselves more than other dances. And one person calls the dance, just like with any Morris dance that's being performed. And so that person is listening to the music and calling. And there's a little bit of latency, but it's not significant because everybody is dancing on their own. So this led to May Day. So of course, since we've been practicing for May Day, we've arranged to have virtual May Day. We're going to wear our kit, and we're just going to do what we usually do on May Day. We're going to be joined by Deer Creek Morris, and we're going to use Zoom. We'll do the Abbott's Bromley, and when we sing Helen Toe, I don't know if we've decided to unmute people for the verse or not, but even though it is a little cacactic, it gets us with the spirit. Then we're going to do Salinger's Round. Alan Winston, who's on this call, is going to be our caller for Salinger's Round. And we'll have a moderator to unmute and mute musicians. As a mass dance, we'll probably do Simon's Fancy, because that, again, lends itself to have people, being 1 or 2 people in a room dancing. We feel it's important to keep our routines and our traditions and our culture going, because that helps us build our resilience and decreases anxiety and family violence. And some people who weren't initially interested in members who were skeptical, they're all on board now. And our plan is, after shelter in place is over and we can be out and about, Zoom World headquarters is not too far from where we dance, so we're going to go dance for them. There's other teams doing virtual May Day. I think Berkeley Morris is going to be doing it on YouTube, and I think a lot of teams are. There's a list of all May Day celebrations, but I don't think it's up to date exactly. And we are going to be doing it at 6 p.m. That is to accommodate our members in different time zones, because 6 a.m. would have been too, in the middle of the night in New Zealand. So that's our plan.
Thank you, Suzanne. Next, we have Alan Winston from Redwood City, California.
Hello.
Hi, Alan.
Oh, good. I'm on. So, some stuff that the Bay Area Country Dance Society is doing. BACDS runs lots of dances ordinarily. We have something like 20 events a month. So since 1994, we've been sending out to a regular mailing list weekly announcements of all our dances, and that's sometimes 5 or 6 different things. When Shelter in Place came out, I sent out one "everything is canceled" email, and got some responses back that was depressing, which of course it was, and thought, what can I do about this? So I've changed the weekly calendar posting, which goes to this list of 637 addresses to list online events that are relevant to our interests. We used to just limit it to BACDS things. Now we're not restricted by sponsoring organizations or by geography. I think this is useful because it provides a service to our communities and to remind people that the organization is still here and doing something, and helps people who are putting on online concerts and so on in directing eyeballs to them and hopefully directing income to them. And one of our biggest concerns has been about how to keep our freelance staff from starving to death during the pandemic. So this does also give us a means of promoting our own weekly check-in events and any other events we organize. Claire has very much been organizing BACDS things on our Zoom account. And we use that same mailing list, the BACDS announce at bacds.org mailing list, to distribute the Zoom URL for the event the day before or the day of the event. Moving on, the one thing that we're sponsoring every week is a Zoom check-in. That was the idea of one of our newer dancers, Kaylee Forrest. And her idea was to use widely known community members as moderators, so that it would be people who recognized the people who were calling in and would know who to call on, who needed to be drawn out to speak, and so on. The check.
Uh-oh.
And so rather than an online concert or anything, we're taking turns talking about how we're doing, mentioning any news, and then having some general discussion. No other program. This is helpful both in terms of keeping in touch. It allows some of our members who are at home with COVID-19 to participate in the community still in a safe way. And it helps us to learn people's last names and other things you don't find out on the dance floor. So really maintains a sense of community and maybe strengthens it in a way that you wouldn't get over there. That said, participation is certainly a small percentage of those who are invited. We've had 30 or 15 or 20 come on in the 90 minutes of the Zoom session. Okay. And when we send out the URLs, we avoid getting Zoom bombed by encouraging people not to share it on social media. And we don't put the URLs on the web pages. So you can only get it by subscribing to the mailing list. I think that's it.
Alan. Thank you. So many ways of keeping our communities connected. Next, we have Darlene Hamilton from Pasadena, California.
Hi, everyone. I am Darlene. I host the 5 things inside the dancing mind of various different English country people on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And when I started dancing in other areas, I realized how much there was to learn from other people and not being just insular into your own community. So I wanted to bring in teachers. It was to expand our knowledge and experiences and knowledge of the history. So I started a program in our community, which was tea talks and dance workshops. On Tuesday nights, it's our regular dance class night. And once this all started, I thought that I want to keep Tuesday night dance class night, basically. And I saw a way of combining those 2 concepts. And it was even more exciting because we could reach all across the country and get people from all over the place to come and talk to us. And not only us, but the whole community. So I'm thrilled that people have been responding so well to it. And it's a lot of fun. And we're all getting to know a lot of people, which is really nice. I wanted to say one of the things that we do that's different is we have a format where we do a more structured webinar and we host a conversation with our guest, and then we are more selective about a few questions during the event. But then afterwards, we switch to an entirely different Zoom link, and we are using Zoom and posting live on Facebook. Afterwards, we have an after chat, and that is more private. It is not hosted live on Facebook. We allow people to come in and join us, and everybody has the opportunity to chat with our guest or bring up whatever topics they want to talk about that maybe were inspired by the conversation. Let's see, what else can I say about it? I really started this also because I wanted people to know, like all of us, we have a great group of folks here in Southern California. We seem to have sort of fallen off the map a little bit, but I want to give a shout out to all my local groups, Monrovia and Culver City and Santa Barbara and Anaheim and San Diego. Hope I didn't miss any. And we wanted people to know that we welcome them to come and teach us and play for us and all that stuff. So it was important to, let everybody know here we are and we love meeting you all and getting to know you. We're raising donations via the donation of choice of the guest, and we post those both in the Facebook video of the talk and also on our website. And I'm here just to see if I can help people create something for their community and help with the experience that we have. And I need to give a shout out to Lindsay, who is not here on the chat, but she's my right-hand person and couldn't do without her. So, and thank you to all my guests who have been on and many that are out there in the audience that I hope will be guests soon. Oh, I should also say just one last thing. We also do host a weekly meetup just to check in and say hello like Alan's group does. And we do a once a month celebration, which is a mini version of our tea dances that we normally hold. So that's all. Thank you.
Right. So I saw in the chat request for contact information for Darlene. This is yet another thing that will be included in this resource. Our 10th guest is Sarah Lee from Santa Rosa, California.
Hi. So when I realized we weren't going to be dancing for quite a while, I noticed there were a lot of concerts on Facebook, and I loved hearing all that music, but I also really missed being with the community. So I thought about having a dance on Zoom so we could see each other and see each other dancing. And so I started the Saturday evening waltz parties. And for 5 weeks, I've booked talent, nationally known, amazing musicians who are sheltering in place either by themselves or as a group. So we've had some solo musicians like Owen Morrison or a group like the Oshima Brothers. And they play in their home, and it's an hour long, and people can join from all over the country. The first week we had around 50 people, and then we grew to over 100. So I upgraded my Zoom account. I mute everybody for the first 25 minutes and they play, and then we unmute for about 15 minutes and we chat, which has gone remarkably well considering there are over 100 people on there. People unmute themselves and say hi to each other, and we check in. And then for another 20 minutes or 25 minutes, the musician or musicians play for us again. And some people are at home waltzing alone or waltzing with a pet or a stuffed animal. Some people have kids, we've had whole families. It's beautiful to see other people dancing. It makes you feel like you're at a dance, and you can also see the musicians. So that's really sweet. Something I learned from, I think, Claire Takamori, who's on here, is that you can pin another dancer. You can private chat them and say, do you want to have this dance? You can pin each other. And then if you hold your device in front of your face and the other dancer holds their device, you can actually have eye contact and waltz together for its song. So that's really special. You get that feeling, you know. We've only used the tip jar. I share that in the chat, and our musicians have said that it's been extremely generous. So that's been great. And yeah, so it hasn't just been our local dancers. I've been promoting it through we have over 1,000 people on our email list for our dance weekends and our local dances. So I send it that way. I share it on our Facebook groups, and I've also been posting it on the CDSS site, and you are all welcome. I'd love to see all of you there.
Great, Sarah. I'll be there next Saturday night. So we are really going beyond our estimated time. We did get a late start. So I'm going to introduce Emily. Next slide, please. Emily, we'll just blast through this as fast as we can. And for everyone else, we are fine with extending the time. So anyone who will be sharing a bit of ideas and resources from CDSS and then opening it up for everyone, and we can have it be open-ended till maybe 8:30. So take it away, Emily.
All right, thanks, Linda. We just wanted to share a few other ideas that Linda and I were thinking about, or that I've seen online with other groups. And take it or leave it, see what you think, see if these fit with what your group might be interested in. The first one has been mentioned a little bit in terms of the community socializing beyond your tradition. So the idea of having just a gathering for social connection is really important, I think, to think about. There are people in our community who come to our dance and song and music events because they are otherwise socially isolated. Might be worth considering phoning some of those people if you know people who are kind of isolated, to check in with them. And then there's the idea of having watch parties. So there's been this mention of online concerts. You can host Google the idea of a watch party, and you and people in your local community can watch one of these online trad music concerts. The second idea is to fundraise for your group or potentially your facility and local freelancers. I'd like to acknowledge that there are a lot of people who have lost their job or their finances may be challenging at this time, but there are many people who are looking for ways to contribute and have funds. And we know that lots of local groups have suffered financially, not only freelancers, but we want all of the local groups to survive this and come out strong. So it's a great time to consider fundraising for your group. Portland In-Town Contra Dance raised $3,000 in 3 days. And you can check out their website. They have information about their fundraiser. Another idea is to work on back burner projects. I don't know if you're like me, but in my local organization, there's things that get put on the back burner plate because we're just too focused organizing our ongoing events. This is a great time, since we don't have some of these ongoing events, to think about some of those bigger overarching projects. So if you don't have a mission or vision statement, or you don't have a community safety policy and protocol, this is a great time to work on those and engage your community members in those projects. So you can ask them for language, you can share it back out and ask for feedback, that type of thing. It's also an opportunity to do some creative projects with your community members. I saw the idea of people sewing dance clothes like skirts, and potentially somebody in your community could host a web chat on that or a Zoom call. The idea of making face masks, colorful face masks for people, or even hall decorations. And you'll see there's a photo of old songs here. That banner at the back has been sewn, as well as the quilt on the side and the top banner. So if you've got people in your community that are really creative and can do projects like that, now's a great time to think about how do you decorate your stage for house concerts, or how do you decorate your stage, your hall for dances. Another idea is to survey your participants. This is a neat way to get them engaged and for you to learn some information about your group and what they're feeling and what they would like. So you can ask them about what they love and miss, and then maybe potentially use that in a mission vision statement. And you could also ask them what they'd like to see when we all come back and start doing our events together. So potentially you could ask about things like, do we want to change our door pricing, or do we want to change the role terms that we use at the dance, and start collecting some information. That's a great way to engage our local communities. And then share connection opportunities. This was already mentioned in terms of sharing live concerts. CDSS is doing almost every day or every second day, we share short, fun, and really touching videos for traditional music and dance. And you can forward those to your community. There's also a great Facebook group called Social Distance, and they're sharing song and dance videos and links and neat memes. So you could share that Facebook group with your community, and then they could get connected to other dancers and singers and musicians throughout North America and beyond. And then finally, in January, the CDS resource portal was greatly expanded, and there are now hundreds of resources for callers, dance musicians, a little less for Morris dancers, we need to get some more, educators, singers, and this might be a great time to promote the idea of learning opportunities for your community members. And so they can just dig in and check out all these neat videos, handouts on these different topics, and maybe build up their skills. All right, thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Emily. If any of you have not delved into the CDSS resource portal yet, please do take a look. There's endless resources that Emily Addison has personally spent many, many hours compiling and organizing. So a couple more slides, Nikki. Very quickly, the resource portal that I just mentioned. Oh, Emily, you want to say a bit about the Shop Talk?
Sure. We send out a quarterly e-blast for organizers like all of you, and that is sharing some new resources that are coming out, highlighting some that are in the past, neat ways for us to learn together. And given the time of COVID, we're going to be sending out little updates over the next number of months. So you can join Shop Talk. It's free at cdss.org/Shop Talk. And then you'll get these notices about upcoming organizer events and other learning tools.
And you're experiencing our web chat series right now. This one has been quite unique. And if you want to see, we have 7 previous web chats. You can visit them all on the web chat on the website. And as I've mentioned, we are generating a new resource based on the ideas that are coming in from this web chat, which has been amazing. There's so much happening in the chat bar right there. I think we're putting chat into the web chats as we speak. We also do offer community outreach grants, and at this point we are reviewing our budget and the needs of communities, since not many events are happening. So our grant deadline is a bit up in the air right now, but we'll be making that, we'll be announcing that as we go along. We also have quarterly e-blasts for our CDSS affiliates. And if your group is not an affiliate, we do encourage you to consider joining this network, and information about becoming an affiliate you can find there on the website. We also have quarterly newsletters that come out, and often they include articles for organizers. Next slide. So to wrap up the structured part of this web chat, I want to let you know that I'll be sending you all a survey tomorrow, and that your input is very important for helping us with planning future web chats, because your experience teaches us things to do, things to not do, and offers us suggestions. So it'd be very helpful to have as many of you as possible responding to the survey. This web chat is being recorded, and those recordings are on the website. So I'll send a link as soon as possible to this web chat so that you can share it with friends. And if you have questions that don't get answered in this web chat, we encourage you to check out Shared Wait, which is an online forum for organizers, and you can bring your questions for song, music, and dance to Shared Wait and continue the conversation. We also want to just encourage you to keep in touch with us and let us know about ways we can support your community. I invite you to keep on putting your ideas into the chat bar. We are open at this point to hearing from you about topics for future web chats. We are very aware that you organizers are keeping the music, dance, and song world alive, and a big part of our mission is to be listening to what you need and doing the best we can to offer you support. So we thank you very much, every single one of you. And we'll say goodbye for now as we move into the open waters part of this web chat. And I'll turn it over to you, Sarah.
Great, thanks, Linda. Nikki, can you move to the next slide, please? So we are going to move to having an open conversation, and we're gonna actually try an experiment. There was a suggestion earlier in the chat to break into smaller groups so that more people will have a chance to talk to each other. So we're going to have Crispin in a moment is going to set up some breakout rooms. What will happen is you'll see an invitation to join the breakout room. At that point, click accept, and you'll be put in a room with about 20 other people where you can talk about what you're doing in your community to connect during this time. After about 10 minutes or so, we'll call folks back. And at that point, we will use the raise hand feature. Nikki, if you can do the next slide. Keep going. If you click on the participants icon at the bottom of your screen, it'll open up a participants tab. Next slide. And you'll see a little icon that says raise hand. Next slide. that will give us a chance to call on people to do a share back after our breakout room. So Crispin, if you would do the honors of setting up some breakout rooms for us.
Sarah, are we all now turning on our
Yep, feel free to turn on your video now. And Nikki, you can stop sharing the slides.
I hope somebody gets a screenshot once we have screens filled with faces.
Are we supposed to join the
Yes,
breakout
you should
room?
see a breakout room invitation that
Am I-
says join. Go ahead and click join. Or if you want, you can stay here and we can have a chat here too.
Thank you.
Great. And anybody who's still here who wants to chat, we could also chat in this room. Now that there's not 100 of us.
And I set the breakout room to close in 10 minutes. So the people in those rooms will have 10 minutes to chat in small groups. Anyone who's stayed here can just hang out here or take a break and come back.
Great. Welcome back, everybody. As you join us, we're waiting for everyone to come back in. We'll have a few more minutes to just wrap up and have a few share backs from anything that was really worth bringing to the whole group from your breakout rooms. Looks like we're still waiting for some breakout rooms to close, but as we're coming back, if everybody finds the participant icon at the bottom of your screen, that'll open up your participant list, at which point you'll see a little icon that says raise hand with a picture of a blue hand. If you have something you'd like to share from your breakout room, go ahead and click that raise hand and we can start talking.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Just one thing. Do people know that they can see up to 50 folks rather than just 25?
Yes, that's a setting you have to set up to on your own Zoom account, and it depends on your computer's capabilities. But if your computer can handle that many videos at once, you can go to the little camera icon, and next to it, there's a little arrow. If you click on that and open up video settings, you can change your default from 25 to 49, and you'll be able to see more videos. All right, we got some hands raised over here. I'll call on folks, and when I do, feel free to unmute yourself and have your share. So go ahead, Al.
Okay, for me, there's too many things happening at prime time. I'd like to do them all.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on. All right, Lynn, you have something to share. Lynn Knoll.
Sure. Reporting back from our group, was very concerned about the restarting of dancing and thinking about how we're going to do this. I'm talking about maybe self-selected groups of small dances, masks, lots of hand washing, maybe holding hankies instead of hands. Concern for public liability. We actually had somebody who survived COVID in our group. And even welcoming stretch breaks at singing, because movement is so important, that we're not just digital humans. We are talking about having to get up and move around even when we're singing. We just got taught a wonderful way, which I will now demonstrate. Reach your arms out in front of you.
Oh. Lynn, can you
Wrap
turn your
them
camera
around
on?
yourselves. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Finally, my video got started. Reach your arms around. Wrap yourself around. Look at somebody in the eye and give them a hug. There. We just got taught a Zoom hug in our group. We have a request for public health experts in the CDSS community that might help us advise on when it's appropriate, and are those some people that dancers that we know that could bring their professional expertise to bear? And finally, can we look to what the sports teams are doing and how they're trying to figure it out and look at the guidance that we're getting from sports? So that was our group.
Thanks. All right. Looks like we have Deborah Chessman. If you want to share, go ahead.
Just to quickly address, somebody said something about everything's at prime time. I'm in the singing community, and one thing I'm really enjoying is I'm going to things in different time zones. And that's, you know, like I was at a Wednesday night folk club tonight, only I did it in the afternoon because England's 5 hours later than us. And it's been, you know, I have to say, it's hard to explain to people how there's some really good things going on, like that are making my time at home really special, and that it, like, I'm connecting with my friends in England in a way that I don't normally do, except maybe once a year. And I don't have to worry if I'm too tired to drive to Rochester to go to their Wednesday night folk sing. I can just go from home. And that's been really great. So all this online stuff is, you know, I know it's not perfect, but it's really wonderful. And I'm gonna, if we all go back to not being on Zoom anymore and they have the regular sings and you have to drive to them, I'm gonna really be missing that when this is over.
Yeah, there's some definite advantages. Great. Neville Miller, you have something to share? Oops, sorry.
Just am I live?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Following on from Deborah's, what Deborah said about, I hosted a singing session of, I run a folk club here in Ottawa, Ontario. Normally that takes place in a pub, but of course they're all closed down. So I did a Zoom alternative folk club, and we were able to get a former friend who moved out of the area and now lives across the other side of the country, and she got to know about it and joined us. So it was wonderful to have her participate with us again. So that was a benefit, just like Deborah was saying.
I think that we're going to actually, whoops. I think that we're going to be prepared for when things change and we go back to wanting to have some sort of a Zoom camera at our regular dances. We're going to have friends from far away who are going to want to be with us in that way. And that's, I think, part of the future of what we're going to be doing in the whatever century we wind up in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Al, did you have something else to say, or did I just not lower your hand from before?
Oh, and what about all these churches? Are they going to be scared to let us scary dancers back in?
Yeah.
Are they going to be, let's keep it just for our church people?
Right. Great. Well, if anybody else has a few thoughts, we have maybe about 5 more minutes, or Linda, if you had anything else you wanted to wrap up with.
I'm especially interested to hear if there are any requests for future web chats, especially coming up over the next few months.
Great. Darlene Hamilton, go ahead.
Muted and unmuted at the same time. And I'm sorry, this was prior, so this is not about other subjects for web chats, which I will think about and send you an email. However, I just wanted to say, because it's something that I mentioned in my little breakout room, for anyone that's thinking about doing anything, just please reach out to all of us on this call. Really want to help you. We're very accessible. You can find us on Facebook, and you can get our emails easy enough and in CDSS comments. So I just want to remind people that we are trying to, that's why we're here. We want to help you have successful events. If you're nervous about starting it up, whatever, you know, maybe Linda and Sarah would have said this already, but it came up in my chat room. So I just want you all to know that. So please reach out.
Thank you, Darlene. Absolutely. Donna Hunt.
Hi, it came up in our chat room and a little bit during the presentation. Philadelphia is experimenting with having a band in one household and a caller in another household and a Zoom dance in people's houses, and it's working, but it's a convolution of lots of different technology. And Alex Burka, who is on this Zoom chat, has figured it out and is continuing to guide us through this. And I noticed his video and his sound was off, so he may not be with us. But if you have questions about how and want that information, you can either email me or if Alex gave his information, I'll add my email address here. Let us know. We'll send you the tech specs and help you work through it, because it worked really well.
Great. Oh, that's wonderful. Clara Stefanoff Wagner. Oh, let me see if I can unmute you.
Hunter?
Hello, there you are.
Great. Hi. One of the big questions that we've had that I'm wondering both if other people have advice and if CDSS has any standards is we would really love to pay our musicians and our callers who were booked for March and April, some of whom got canceled on 2 days notice. Obviously, some had longer notice than that. And we've had some concerns about the legality of paying people for events that didn't take place because we don't have formal contracts. We don't have a cancellation clause. We don't really have a framework there. So I was wondering if CDS has any guidelines on that, if you have a nonprofit lawyer that you would recommend, or what other groups have found as a solution to that.
Katie, I'm going to turn this one over to you.
Great. So we, of course, were looking into that same question. We have someone who is a former lawyer on our board right now. We also asked our auditor, and I asked the Massachusetts Cultural Council for their legal advice. They're an umbrella organization for us. The general consensus is there's nothing, if you were going to contract with someone, if you had an agreement, even if it wasn't formal, if there's some sort of exchange of words that you were going to pay someone to come in and perform, that you are within your legal rights to offer them a severance pay package or severance pay if you do not, if you are the one who's canceling the event. There is always the chance that that is not the letter of the law, but every single, this is what I heard from multiple people, every single case that goes before a judge is they take into consideration the circumstances. And we are in a global pandemic, and we have freelancers in a gig economy that people don't even know about, right? We're the only ones who know about our economic sector. It's up to us to keep us healthy. So the chances of this ever being brought before a lawyer or coming before a lawyer are microscopic at best. And I've had this conversation with organizers one-to-one. We haven't put out official guidelines, mostly because there isn't anywhere you can go that clearly says, if you are a freelance, if you provide employment for freelancers and you canceled on them, you can pay them. That language doesn't exist in the IRS or in the tax law, but we are going to do it. CDSS is working on it. Many other organizations are doing it. So it's really up to what is financially safe and acceptable for your organization to do.
Great. Looks like we have time for one more hand, and Suzanne Frank, do you have something to share with us?
I just wanted to to shout out to Sharon Green, did English country dancing on Fantastico Negrito's recent video. I'm losing my mind. He's a Grammy Award winner. So if you want to, that was, you know, some cross-cultural dance.
Great. All right, one more short one. Jadra.
Hello. I was just going to share that the Portland Rain Dance happens every year in April and got canceled. It's like a local, urban dance weekend, and they gave the option for people to, instead of requesting refunds of their admission fee, to donate it to the band instead. Mm-hmm. And so they had like a whole mechanism that they used to do that. And Kim and Christine Appleberry are the ones who run that dance. And I'm sure that they would be more than happy to share their whole process and whatever info. So I don't remember who the nice human was who just asked about that, but I'm sure if you reach out to the Appleberries, they will talk your ear off about it.
Great, thank you. All right, Emily, do you have one last thought before we close up?
I was just thinking maybe we could all wave and I could take a screenshot of both pages so that we could have kind of a memory of all this awesome organizer power in one Zoom call.
So great. Could everybody that wants to turn on your video?
And it will take me a moment to do both screens. So wave. 1 second. And I'm just gonna go on the next screen and wave some more. Yay. Okay, I've got it. Yay.
All right, thank you, Emily. Great. Linda, any final parting words for us? I'll say for myself, a big thank you to everybody who's participated. This has been our biggest and one of the most fabulous web chats yet. So thank you.
Thank you for bearing with us for a bumpy start of this web chat. And I'm very grateful for everybody's flexibility. And from what I could tell, there were many, many, many connections that were made, whether it was face-to-face on the screen or through the chat. And so we hope that whatever has gotten started in the way of connections will continue, and we'll be doing our very best from the office to help that happen.
Great. Did you have something, Katie?
Yeah. I wanted to say, basically, I've been talking about this a lot lately to people I talk with, but what we do and the people who make it happen and the people who come and dance and sing with us, we are an economic sector of the arts in this country. We are our own little economic sector. And I know it's not really folky or fun to talk about economics, but we're the best kind of economy. We're one that's based on human togetherness and music and creativity and love. But people don't know about our sector. So it is up to us to take care of our sector right now. And that's a call to every single organizer on this call and beyond, that we need to do right now everything that we can for not just the freelancers who desperately need the money, but also all the thousands and thousands of people who depend on these connections, on us, on what we do for emotional support and stability and love and community. And I know we all feel it too, but I think we need to keep boosting each other as organizers and facilitators, because a lot is riding on us right now to keep it all together and to be there for people in any way that we can. So thank you for all that you are continuing to do. We love organizers so much at CDSS. You are heroic and we are your biggest fans. So keep telling us what you need. We will keep doing everything we can to meet it. And thank you for taking care of everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe, stay in touch, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.